All right, hello YouTube, Muckluck here, and today we tried out the DPS boon support Herald, specifically the one that provides quickness. Now, for this, once again, I first went on to the various community websites to see what guides there were on this build because it's not something I was familiar with. I needed something to start with. In my search for that, I found on the Snowcrow's site, they have got a condition quickness herald, a power quickness herald, a new player's guide to power quickness herald. Guild Gen also had a guide to Power Quickness Herald, and Hardstuck had a guide to Power Quickness Herald. So first thing I did is I started comparing all of them, and I found that they had like 99% overlap. Almost everything, like everyone across the board of all these websites agreed, like these are the traits, these are the specializations, these are the weapons, yada, yada, yada. And I tried those things out. If one of them differed than the others, I basically used like, okay, well, 2 of the 3 websites say this, 2 of the 3 websites say that, and that's what I did with it. Now, originally, I tried sword, staff, and swords for DPS and staff just for CC. Did some testing with that, and then someone in chat was like, hey, you know, I have better luck when I do greatsword. And I was like, I'll try it. And I tried greatsword and immediately got like 2k DPS higher. So maybe that was a me issue. Could have been me, but I tried it and it worked for me, so I decided to stick with the greatsword. So I'm using greatsword for my damage, and I'm using staff for primarily CC, just for the staff 5. Got the usual traits and stuff here. Now, up here, the legends. I saw some versions that used glint and, well, let's just say dragon and assassin, some that use assassin and dwarf, and some that use dwarf and dragon. So 2 out of 3 of those 3. I ended up settling on dragon and dwarf. Dragon pushes out a lot of boons and does boon extension. Dwarf gives out stability to its teammates. Assassin was basically unga bunga. Assassin was a little bit more damage, so this was a tiny bit of a damage loss, but I felt like I had more utility to offer my team. So with that, let us run over here, and I'm gonna do a quick example just to show I have a basic understanding of this. So here we go. So first off, before the fight even starts, we can activate 3 of our facets. We're gonna hit this guy, and then we're gonna do elements, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do the sword thing, we're gonna activate that, we're gonna activate these 2, and now we're just gonna keep hitting like sword 2 and 3, and then we're just going to expend those and swap into dwarf, activate the spinny hammer thing, and pretend we're playing Diablo 2, and we're just gonna do some sword skills to drain our energy here, and the moment we can, we're going to swap back to dragon, and we're going to hit those 2 buttons. We're going to do boon extension again, and we're going to activate these, and as long as we're draining with 1 pip going downward, we are providing quickness to our team, and we're going to throw those out again and swap back, and then vengeful hammers again, and we are currently sitting around 22k. Okay, so that just shows I've got a basic understanding of how to play this. I'm providing quickness and a small amount of other boons while I am doing this. For example, we're pushing out a lot of protection while we are in the dragon stance. We are pushing out a tiny bit of might and swiftness. We're pushing out fury, and we're doing boon extension. For those not familiar with it, Herald has the unique ability of adding a bit of time to all boons on the party. So if anyone in the party is slipping, Herald can band-aid that by using their F2, which is pretty cool. While we're in dwarf stance only, so let's just say maybe 50% of the time, we have access to one of the best stability options in the game, which is the road, which pulses stability over and over and over on everyone as long as they are standing on it. So you don't have access to that 100% of the time. I would say that's a con, but like 50% of the time, and if you can plan a little bit ahead, like if you know a stun is coming, you could like just kind of linger in dwarf a little bit longer to, you know, be able to do that. You do have that option available to you, which is, you know, far better than nothing. It is far better than nothing. Additionally, talking about the weapon, you know, you've got your sword skills. I basically am using the sword 2 and sword 5 on cooldown. The 5 hits like an absolute truck, you can see right there, and the 2 is like a decently hard hitting, but also very short cooldown move you spam. 3 does decent damage, but it's also a movement skill, so you'd sometimes use that to get around. The 4, I loved Greatsword 4. I'm so glad I swapped away from swords to this. Greatsword 4 allows you to block some hits with a very healthy duration, and after you finish blocking, if you hit it again, you can smack back at the thing in front of you based on how much you blocked. So on Bone Skinner, whenever he would do the leap or the charge, if I was able to do so, I would block it and then just hit him back for a ton of damage, and I wouldn't have to stop to dodge roll and stuff like that, and it was fun. It was fun. It was enjoyable. It felt good to use. Very similar to when I was trying Warrior and using Bullet Catcher, things like that. So that was that. Again, I did try the build with Assassin, but Assassin was literally just turn on impossible odds. It kind of like Dwarf, you just turn on the spinning hammer things and you just attack and you do a little bit more damage than these. I liked being able to give my group stability from time to time. I don't remember if I showed the build, so just showing it again. This is the build. Pretty much all the websites across the Guild Wars 2 community agreed that this was the build as far as specializations and traits are concerned. When it comes to equipment, Herald has the overpowered ability of using full berserkers and yet still able to give you 100% boon uptime. So extremely easy to gear, whether you're using greatsword or double swords. You just berserkers everything. That's it. This runes are Rune of the Dragon Hunter. The relic we're using is Relic of the Thief, and we put force and impact on all our weapons. Some of the websites like using air and impact, but we ended up just doing force and impact for our test. So I did not try them both side by side. I didn't want to go, so far into it as like, testing every sigil, but that's what we found. Talking about the pros and the cons to the class, it is similar to many of the other Revenant builds I've played. You are swapping legends on a rotation, which means half the time you'll have access to one legend and half the time you'll have access to the other legend. If you can plan ahead of time, you can, for example, like if you know you need that stability soon for Dwarf, you can, plan ahead a little bit and make sure that you're in Dwarf at the right moment. But if an unexpected thing comes at you and you weren't ready to it, like it's very much a plan ahead class, not a react to an unexpected problem class. That said, it has a massive toolbox of unique things. Boon extension is one of them. Some of the best stability options in the game is another. The anti-projectile bubble, if you wish to, if you're on a fight that has a lot of projectiles, let me remove the golem to get out of combat, you could use Centaur and use this. This bubble you can keep up for a very long time and move it around, and it blocks projectiles. Now, your damage suffers dramatically, but you are still pulsing quickness, your primary job. You are still pulsing quickness, and you can still swing your sword. But while you're in this, you could do this. So this is an option available to all Revenants, and this class is no exception to that. Now, I did not try the Condi version of this build. Only one of the 3 main Guild Wars 2 build sites had it, and also it looked like it played very similar to the Alacrigade I tried last time, and I hated that. So I had no inclination to do that, and plus the fact that, like, Dwarf scales with power, not Condi, which means while you're in Dwarf, those hammers aren't going to hurt very hard if you're Condi based. Yeah, I was like, okay, I'm just going to stay power, because then I can still keep the stability stuff on demand and stuff like that. So the toolbox for this class is kind of nice, but again, it involves an understanding of the energy management system. You've got to understand a lot of skills. Like, again, we've got 5 skills here. We have got 5 skills here. We have got 5 skills here. We have got 5 skills here. And in addition to that, all the facets flip over, and there's another 5 skills here. So you've got 25 buttons down here, which is the same as an elementalist. Plus, you need to learn the energy system and the pip system. So if you're coming into this class from a completely different class, you've never played it before, it may take a while to wrap your head around it and get a good understanding of the class and how everything works and stuff like that. So would I say that it is pretty easy to copy a guide and play what I played tonight? Yes. But if you want a solid understanding of it and be able to understand like when you can change things, in my opinion, it will take you longer with Revenant than any other class, simply because of that extra layer, which is the energy system. Because it'll be like, oh, I'm in trouble. I need to use my heal. Well, guess what? If you don't have enough energy, you're not allowed to. It's not just a matter of are your skills off cooldown and available to be clicked, but also are you in the right legend, and also do you have enough energy? There's more factors that you have, there's more windows you have to have lined up to click any button on Revenant with any other class. I think that's about it. Basically with this build, it's you're providing quickness, a little bit of other boons, and you got boon extension, and then if you choose to bring the Dwarf, you've got stability on demand. That's the class, and it does mostly melee damage, although you could, if you swapped out the staff, you would lose a huge CC option, and you could bring a hammer or something for a ranged option. Most of the builds I saw were not doing that. Hello. Chip is yelling at me. So yeah, I think that's really all I got. Really easy to gear with the full Berserker. Pretty easy to play if you're just copying one of the guides for this. It's not terribly complex as far as like the buttons you're pressing, but if you try to deviate from that, you will need to have a decent understanding of the energy system. But if you're just copying it and it's your first time playing it, it's not going to be that bad. So don't be too daunted by that. Like, for example, playing this class, I do not, even at this moment, without reading it, know what that does or that does at all. I know that's spinning hammers and that's the road. That's it. That's it. Hey buddy, what's up? But yeah, I think that covers everything. When it comes to utility, there is some cool, unique stuff that this class can do, but the size of the stuff in the toolbox is not that much. It's like stability if you plan for it, projectile hate if you plan for it, boon, and then extending boons, and unga bunga and quickness. That's basically the class. That's pretty much it. And it's pretty straightforward, so if you enjoy it, it might be for you, and if this sounds like too much, then, you know, maybe it won't be. And yeah, I think that's it. So yeah, with that, if you have any questions, problems, thoughts, concerns, or you want to correct anything I got wrong, I welcome it. Once again, these are not guides. These are videos kind of cataloging my experience as I try all of these different things for a few hours each and give my impressions as a new player or a experienced player that has never played this coming into this as like a new class. And yeah, see you in the next one.